Alright guys, so we're going to speak about creatine again in this video because I know a lot of you guys are dabbling into it if you're beginning or taking more of it because spring and summer are coming up and you want to get that size, you want to bulk up, and then when you finally cut down, you can look just right. So we're going to go over 3 ways how you can use creatine more effectively. Number one way to use creatine is when you're bulking. So the whole purpose of creatine is to gain size. Studies show that when you take carbs and protein with your creatine that you are actually going to gain more size, more strength. It's just going to work better. So essentially when you're bulking, you're not really worried about cutting, you're not worried about the aesthetic appeal. You're just worried about gaining the most muscle and just building the most size, so when you do cut down, you can retain some of that size and you're going to look extremely impressive. When you're bulking, I definitely recommend taking as much creatine as possible, but you're not going to go as far as those rugby players where they took 25 grams of monohydrate. Honestly, I do not recommend loading because that's when I experienced the most hair loss, when I was taking almost 10 grams of monohydrate in the past. I saw a direct correlation with my hair patchiness. You know, my strength went all the way up. I was the heaviest I've ever been, but there was a direct correlation with my hair appearance. But yeah, guys, when you're constantly eating and having multiple meals a day just to get the biggest size that you can possibly get, not worried about fat gain or anything like that, I highly recommend taking as much creatine at a safe dosage. Under 3 grams of monohydrate. I'll have a link in the description why I believe under 3 grams of monohydrate is the best for you if you're worried about hair, but definitely take as much creatine safely recommended during your bulking period. The second way you can use creatine more effectively is during your cut. So we're going to be using creatine as much as possible during the bulk, and now we're cutting. So now we're trying to get the striations, we're trying to get the muscle maturity to be exposed, and the only way to do that is to lower the body fat content. The impressive physique relies on a low body fat percentage. You can be big, you can have strength, you can be actually big, but you are not going to look impressive without the shreds, the aesthetics. You gotta expose them. So creatine is one of those supplements that, you know, you hold water weight, and they say it's just in the muscle, but I highly disagree with that. It is so much harder to lose fat in the problem areas while using creatine. You might eat a huge deficit, more than you're used to. You might be doing cardio and fasted morning cardio. You take your shit in the morning, you weigh yourself, you're like, oh man, I'm definitely gonna lose weight. You get on the scale, you're like, I gained weight. It is like a mind fuck, you know, like, because you do everything correctly and you get on the scale and you look in the mirror, nothing is going your way. That means you need to lay off the creatine. You know, you can use creatine effectively to bulk up during your bulk, and then when you cut down, you can lower your dosage. So a great way to get lean is to lower your dosage of creatine. I'm not saying completely go cold turkey. I actually suggest that. Like, that's how I do it. I build my size up and then I dramatically lose my weight, and I will retain the size of the creatine, but at the same time my shreds and muscle striations will appear very quickly, so I get like this effect of just pump and shreds. And during the cutting period, you can definitely just, you know, take like a scoop every other day, a dosage every other day, or half a dosage every day. My advice is to lower the dosage because it definitely helps with the water retention. You definitely get more results in terms of shredding and cutting down. The third way you can use creatine more effectively is to use it more efficiently. You can't just keep taking creatine day after day and then just continuously get results. You need to lay off of it sometimes. A problem that I experience and a lot of beginners experience is they just can't let go of that gain train. You know, they see the gains and they feel an attachment to it, and they really just can't let it go. It's the same as someone that's bulking and they've been a small guy their whole life, and they finally got some size and some strength, but they look in the mirror and they have a muffin top, they got some man titties going on, but when they step on the scale, they feel better. It's the same thing, guys. As you get more experience in bodybuilding, you learn that you can experiment. You learn that, oh, the strength will go away. You know, doesn't apply to creatine, but this could be training practices. You can let your strength go down. You'll get it back eventually. I don't mind pushing lower weight due to my diet or supplement selection or different lifting practices. It doesn't matter, guys. This is a long-term thing. You can definitely experiment. So I highly suggest that you don't just continuously take creatine like in the bulking and cutting phases. Like, that's definitely one of those two very black and white moments to increase your dosage of creatine and then lessen it. Let's talk about people like me that don't necessarily go through bulking and cutting anymore. I just constantly work out and eat maintenance to deficit calories because I believe muscle growth occurs only through high frequency training, which is constantly stimulating the muscles on a weekly basis at the right frequency. So for people like me, you know, if I feel flat, I'm going to take some creatine. I might take it for a week to 2 weeks and have a lot of fun with it, with the strength gains and everything, the massive pumps. I'm talking like way better than when you're off creatine. Then when I feel a little full and too fluffy, I'm going to stop taking creatine for 1 to 2 weeks. So maybe you can apply these practices. I feel like it works for me very, very well because, you know, you don't let it get out of hand. You don't just take creatine over and over again. You just can't get shredded for some reason, and then you just call it quits and continuously eat your caloric surplus, and then you get like way too fat. In conclusion, you definitely want to use creatine as much as you can during your bulk because you're going to gain the most size combined with all the carbs and protein that you're going to be eating. It's going to give you exponential strength gains combined with your diet and surplus. It's going to really help you get that size. During your cut, you should definitely lower the usage of it. Maybe go cold turkey like I suggested, but you have to be imploring the caloric deficit combined with no usage of creatine to get that effect that I'm talking about, where you have the pump and the shreds simultaneously, getting you the most impressive physique that you might possibly get as a natural, you know, because that period where you go from pumped to shredded is the most impressive. Now, if you guys are like me, that we are people that constantly work out and we don't really have a bulking or cutting phase anymore, just play with the dosages, you know, every other day, maybe 1 week on, 1 week off. You're going to see a difference. And, you know, it's one of those things that you can let go of. You know, it's going to come back. You'll learn to let go of things. And I feel like that's really valuable because experimentation is bodybuilding, and you need to try different things. You know, if you stick to one thing over and over again and you can't seem to get the results, you're probably one of those people that are like, steroids, you use steroids, everyone uses steroids, blah. So hopefully this video helped, guys. Definitely use that creatine, or don't use it. I didn't use it for many years, and you know, it's just nice and fun and exciting, refreshing to use creatine. You know, don't abuse it. Take a break from it, and I really feel like you're going to be fine, and it's going to help the hair loss aspect because you're not constantly using it. So definitely leave a comment in the comment section below if you guys have a question that you might want me to answer. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. See you next video.